Welcome back to Event Explorer, the podcast where we shine a light on the world's most iconic celebrations and the people that bring them to life. I'm your host, Daniel Roth, a creative director and event producer, and I'm excited to show you behind the scenes of the best festivals and events around the world. Today, we're returning to Portland, Oregon for our second episode spotlighting the city's vibrant event scene. And this time, we're diving into one of the most enduring traditions in the Pacific Northwest, the Portland Rose Festival. This century-old celebration features more than 60 events, from the Grand Floral Parade and dragon boat races to Fleet Week, art shows, fireworks, and more. Since 1907, it's marked the unofficial start of summer in Portland, full of creativity, pageantry, and civic pride. Joining me today is Jeremy Emerson, the incoming president of the Portland Rose Festival Foundation and a longtime volunteer who's helped shape the festival from the inside. He's also a leader in the national festival space through his work with Sapphire, where he supports event ticketing and marketing across the country for many, many more festivals. If you've got a favorite memory of the Rose Festival or a celebration we should feature next time, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out at daniel@eventexp.org. And don't forget to follow us and rate Event Explorer on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. Okay, let's dig in and talk to Jeremy Emerson. The Portland Rose Festival, officially declared the city's civic celebration from 2010, includes over 60 events spanning parades, fireworks, dragon boat races, art shows, and a whole lot of roses. This has been happening since 1907, and the Rose Festival really is the unofficial start to summer in Portland, bringing the city together with a spirit of creativity, pageantry, and pride. And at the heart of it, the Grand Floral Parade, the dazzling city fair, the Starlight Parade and Run, legendary Fleet Week, and so many more of these activities that really make up an incredible Portland Rose Festival. So joining us today to share the behind-the-scenes story and what it takes to keep this tradition fresh and modern in Portland is Jeremy Emerson, longtime volunteer and incoming president of the Portland Rose Festival Foundation. Jeremy, welcome to Event Explorer.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Such a pleasure. Some mutual friends introduced us that run these other iconic festivals, and Portland Rose really does stand out as something that kind of signifies Portland. It's a 100-year tradition. It's very important to the city. It's something that people mark their lives and plan their summers around. What do you think has given it this staying power for, 115 years? Is that how old it is now?
Yeah, founded in 1907. I have been going to the festival since I was a kid. I grew up about an hour outside of town. Moved to Portland in 1994, went to Portland State University, blocks away from the parade routes, and would watch the city transform in the late spring every year. And then I founded my company with a business partner who I met at Portland State, and we were working in the events industry. And you spend so much time in your basement as a web developer, a designer, and all this kind of stuff, and you get in your little zone. And the thing that I found I missed was my community. And so I started volunteering with the festival as a way to get out there and sit on the other side of the table instead of working for festivals and branding them. Dig right in and contribute to planning parades and all those kinds of things. So I joined the board of directors in 2016, have been super focused on the parades and then leadership positions within the board of directors there. And last year this was my first year as board president. It's a 2-year term. Quite an honor. Super cool to serve the city in this way. And it's just, I think what I learned in answer to your question was there are so many little tendrils of this festival that kind of reach out into so many different kind of corners of the community and different kinds of cultures of our community. And I think that's what kind of holds it together, is that some people are parade people. Some people are all about the Navy ships that come in for Fleet Week. Some people are all about the court and our program with all the young ladies from the Portland Public High Schools who run for court positions and eventually the queen of the festival. That's a very storied part of what we do. And then just, all the City of Roses and all that encapsulates, our parks, just vibrant city life. And then past 4 or 5 years, the focus has really been on what can Portland Rose Festival do to revitalize the city of Portland and kind of help us as we come back from all the challenges of COVID and what that presented us.
That's such an interesting perspective now, this is, I'm sure in the founding, there was an interest in kind of bringing attention to Portland, but also celebrating, what makes it unique. And now you're kind of trying to take a new kind of modern look at that as well. Tell me, what are those core pieces that make Portland Rose kind of the event that it is?
Well, I think it really is the parade, the Fleet Week, the court program are those very standard bearing pillars for our organization. We're the second largest organic floral parade in the country, second to Pasadena on New Year's Day. And we're like the younger kid step sibling of that parade, but it's been running for so long. And it's just so cool to see some of the pictures from the early 1900s when people were decorating horse carriages, just completely covered in flowers and celebrating the fact that Portland is just this super fertile place to grow things like roses, right? And going back to that 1907 story, it was the Lewis and Clark Exposition in 1905, when the world kind of descended on Portland, and our mayor, Harry Lane, at the time said, this is a thing, man. We could start a festival and continue this economic infusion and tourism infusion in the city of Portland and put us on the map. And so in '07, we started the festival and it's been going ever since.
Incredible, incredible. And yeah, exactly. It put Portland on the map. The kind of the West was just opening up, at that time and growing. And obviously Portland was even kind of growing and maybe transitioning into more of a cosmopolitan city, at that time. And I'm sure this type of thing helped. How One thing about the parade I've noticed is there's kind of a unique Portland flair to it that the community comes out and celebrates and builds different floats. And how do you see the city of Portland kind of reflected in that day, in that celebration?
I think I've always told people that my view of Portland is it's the biggest a town can get before it really becomes a city. It just as you travel the country, you come to realize, man, Portland's just really not very big. I mean, it is what it is, and we're very proud of what Portland is. And on parade day, parade night for Starlight it's about as Portlandia as it can get, right? Like it's zany, it's irreverent, it's evolved over the years to be the wettest, wildest water gun fight to the Starlight Parade it is now, where it's just so much fun and just zany weirdness of Portland. And I think people come out and just love to celebrate that fact. And then the Grand Floral Parade, that's where we come together and try and do something that's a little bit more celebratory of all of the different cultural aspects of our city and of our region, especially. So with such a huge focus on the different kinds of neighborhoods in Portland and what the people and the cultures experience as Portlanders, and celebrating those in whatever way we can through floral display, the beautiful floats. We just had our 10th year anniversary for the mini float program, which was a pioneered version of this, which is going back to that idea of Portlandia. We work with a group that would take golf carts and build miniature floral floats on top of the chassis of a golf cart so that we could have these kind of Keystone Cop driving around, and not just big, expensive floral parade floats, but we could invite other community festivals from all over our region to participate with these super fun and cute mini floral floats. And so that day to me has always been about, how from the first entry in that parade to the last entry, can we tell a story about what does it mean to live in the Pacific Northwest, and how can we invite festivals from British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho to come together and celebrate what that vibe is and what the culture is. It's just super fun. And it's a rush every year. I ever work those parades and just sending floats on their route and then watching the smiles and the crowds appreciate the work and appreciate the people. It's super fun.
And that must, I mean, take a small army to organize. What is the Rose Festival? I mean, you're volunteer. Is there
Yeah.
staff and then a big volunteer army that helps put this together?
Oh, for sure. Small but mighty staff, less than 10 full-time people in the Rose Festival office, and board of volunteers that is really a working board. So most of us are just really dedicated volunteers, help produce all the events. And so um, that number changes, but we're roughly around 60 volunteers as members on that board. And then thousands of volunteers, right? Like I think one of the biggest opportunities we always have is to engage with our corporate sponsors, because the point of it is to, like, I'll use Alaska Airlines as an example, to engage with Alaska as they build and hire a float builder to build that float to be in the parade. it's a month, 2 months of work for the float builder, but also for Alaska to engage with their employees, their local families to come out and help decorate the float, get behind it, get engaged with the community, and then come out and watch their work go down the street. Support that in so many ways. So just, yeah, parties
That's
along the
very
parade route and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea what you described, it's not just a name on a billboard at
Right.
that point. It becomes a truly community kind of cohesive, bond-making event between, they know they're supporting a good cause, and they know that they're kind of fulfilling the goal of enriching lives, while they're employing people in the Portland area.
Yeah.
Very fun, and that participatory spirit, it looks like it extends to a bunch of other elements too. So there's the dragon boat races, there's milk carton boat races. So are these more opportunities for Portland to kind of express its quirky side?
Yeah. Heck yeah. And the dragon boat races, it's a great feature. What that really is a celebration of Portland has a bunch of sister cities across the world. And I think that most metropolitan areas do that, have a sister city association or program. The Portland Kaohsiung Sister City Association from Taiwan is incredibly involved with our festival. And we partner with them. They really produce the dragon boat races. They take place the last weekend of our festival every year, the Saturday and Sunday, and it brings the river to life. It brings just a ton of, I love the competitive spirit of it. Like the festival celebration, and it's all a bunch of crowning queens and visiting ships and getting to see sights and ride rides and be in the parades. But then I think you really see the community come to life when there's a little competitive nature, like a little something in there that I can win a trophy, right? So I think there were 50 or 60 teams this year on dragon boats racing on the river on our last weekend. And they're, I mean, I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I could just sit there all day and take pictures of these things. It's just beautiful. The artwork's incredible, the culture, and you have such a support from the Kaohsiung Sister City Association on stuff like that. And then you take the other end of the spectrum with the milk carton boat races that you mentioned. And that was an event that the Rose Festival produced for years and years. And then maybe a decade ago asked our sister organization, the Royal Rosarians, who are really the official greeters of the city of Portland, to take that on with us. And that's letting families get together in that competitive spirit and then build boats out of donated empty milk cartons and race them at the Westmoreland casting ponds here in town. And it just takes it from this grandiose scale to like the little Boy Scout, Girl Scout troop, or just a family putting together a little boat and racing it on the pond. It's super fun.
That is really fun. That's going to reflects in our mutual connection of Cat Pay in Traverse City with the National Cherry Festival. It's happening, as we record today.
Yeah.
She, yeah, exactly. You get to watch from just finishing your event to see hers dressed out this week, but I'm sure it'll be great out there. And kind of the point there of, we talk about there's kind of two sides, and I'm curious for your thoughts there of maintaining tradition and building innovation to bring people in. What do you feel like the responsibility there, now that you're in your leadership role as well,
Oh,
is it just kind of maintaining the status quo, or do you look for ways to innovate?
I think we would be crazy to not be looking for ways to innovate.
Hmm.
I think people's expectations of a 120-year-old festival are, you have to be fierce, fiercely defending of, I would say, some of those core pillar programming issues, right? Like the parades, the fleets, the court. And then there's all this stuff that kind of goes on around the festival that we have to constantly be looking at and justifying the expense for. Is this working? Is this something the public wants to do anymore? So we're always kicking around ideas, and every year, since I've taken office, we're going to be really fiscally responsible, because I think all events have to be right now. That's just a challenge we all face. But trying to find out what's the next thing that the people of Portland want, and some of these food and cultural events that haven't really necessarily been a part of our festival, we've been tinkering with in the past few years, and we'll watch those emerge or go away as needed. But yeah, just tweaks on some of the events. We change our parade routes quite a bit since COVID because of the needs to adapt and work with the Portland City Police on routes, transportation bureaus, like all that stuff, right? At this
Yeah.
scale is really important. But at the core of that is just like, yeah, what are people going to freak out about in Portland if we don't have anymore? And what are people looking for outside of the festival timeframe that kind of makes sense for us to consider as new programming or as tweaks to our own programming. For sure, we have to always be thinking about that.
And the festival, you're such a great asset to them, I'm sure. Can you let me know a little bit about your history here? I know that your business that you've created with your partner is a ticketing and event services business, which takes you around the country meeting and connecting with other festivals. How does that inform your work here at the Home
Oh,
Fest?
a huge amount. I really truly believe that's why I have the role I have for these 2 years as president, is that you're nominated by your peers on the board to serve and then voted in. And so I was voted in, and I think just through conversation, it feels really relevant. That's through my life at Sapphire, my company. We do ticketing and website services and marketing for fair festivals across the country and have for almost 2 decades. And professional association, the International Association of Festivals and Events, is a world in which I meet people like Pat Pay at National Cherry Festival, Kevin Grothy at Memphis in May. And we've worked with these people for 15 years in some instances, and I attend all these national conventions and local conventions. So the learning and what I'm seeing work at other festivals across the country, I mean, it's not rocket science, right? And that's what I love about this industry is in the events industry, no stealing. Everybody's just super happy to share. Hey, if it's working in Memphis, it might work in Portland. So why don't we talk about it and you guys figure it out and then let us know how it worked or didn't work. And then maybe we tweak Memphis, right? So it's
Mhm.
super like everybody comes together on that stuff and we're not competing. We're sharing information. And I think that as I work with about 780 events across the country are on my platform and that I have direct access to, and I'm constantly trying to tweak their marketing to figure out how does this work in your location. That's all stuff I bring back to Portland for sure. Pretty much every committee I've sat on since I've started here, that's where I can pipe in at some point and say, well, team, here's what's working everywhere else, or here's what's definitely not working. And I think we should probably look at that. So um, people are people,
Yeah.
and regionally there are some minor differences, but really at the heart of it is just that spirit of sharing. And
Mhm.
everybody wants the live events industry is so awesome that way. We're just all willing to help each other out.
Yeah, and it's associations like you mentioned that are so important. It seems like these days, as so many of these festivals are organic creations out of a community, but you get to a certain scale, and you really do need that kind of greater level of support or that greater
Yeah.
level of knowledge to be able to have foresight and just make sure that you continue to exist and you continue to be successful, from a fiscal perspective, but also from a cultural kind of
Yeah.
relevancy
Yeah.
perspective. So, and be a draw, right? So you're into the marketing side, you're into the ticketing side of getting kind of people excited about visiting festivals, in any location, whether it's planning a trip or getting in the car and just heading downtown for the day. From a Portland Rose Festival perspective, what's the audience? What kind of experience do you hope the audience gets, or what's a good way to plan about visiting and attending the festival?
Well, we run 3 weeks. The festival always kicks off the on Memorial Day weekend, and we'll have that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday as our opening kind of kickoff celebration, and then the next 2 weekends are jam packed with events as well. But like I said, we try to provide enough of everything for everybody, regardless of kind of how you want to engage with the festival itself. And my hope is that we are seen as an inclusive celebration of all of Portland and not just a part of Portland. And that's been the challenge over the last recent history for us is just to find a way to bridge the gap. Everything can happen in this one little tiny festival grounds. We want this to be a celebration of the whole city. And my vision is getting people from all over the city to really want to take part. Like you said, there's a challenge we've had. It's just not any secret that people wanting to go to downtown Portland is not quite what it was prior to the COVID. And so that's something that we've really had to look into is how do we help our own community heal in ways and come back together to celebrate in really meaningful ways. And I think that every year it gets a little bit better. This year was just fantastic. I mean, we have had some of the best weather on record for
Mhm.
the pool. You just never know, man. Late May could be hip waders down at the city fair and try to figure it all out. And some years it's been so hot, but like this year was just perfect. And I love thinking of the festival as our festival, the city's festival. It's not something that's a bunch of people behind closed doors to plan something and then just unleash it. And I think
Yeah.
that's maybe something that's worked its way into my messaging as president. It's shocking to me how many people do not realize that the Portland Rose Festival is a nonprofit organization, and probably 95% of our programming is free to the public. We're bringing all this stuff in. It's really a civic service to our community. And so from where I sit professionally, I don't have a lot of tickets I can sell. I don't have a lot of things I can do to make a bunch of money to produce these events. So it's really, that's been the unique challenge for me, is how do we appeal to the business community and to the people who will attend and bridge the gap between those people to make sure that this is a festival that people will donate to, will financially support, will come out and take part in, right? So
And it needs to keep reflecting the spirit of Portland, which is something I think you guys do a great job of with the festival, kind of representing this patchwork of cultures at home in the city. And another way to represent those is the cuisine from Portland, which has some of the best in the country from my firsthand experience. Have you been working to bring this like foodie scene into the festival?
I, you're touching a nerve for me because I'm a foodie. It's one of the things that I've loved about living in Portland. I've supported a lot of food-based events and food and beverage-based events in my career. And we do have a city fair, it's a carnival, and it's kind of like a little expo of Portland fair on our waterfront. It's a beautiful setting right on our waterfront park. And that runs all the weekends. But that's one of those things where, if you live in Portland, I don't know what the draw is for a corn dog or a funnel cake to come down, and get like a classic fair food when we've got so many James Beard Award winning restaurants and Michelin star type stuff going on in town, right? Like we're known as a foodie town, but then we've also got the sort of like the little county fair right on the water. So we do have all that stuff, and we've been really focusing on bringing in local vendors because I think Portland's also really passionate about like our food truck scene and that kind of stuff, right? So we have to integrate local families who have these food trucks or food businesses and bring them in for the fair experience that we provide. And we get better reviews and better, just better participation when we integrate those kinds of things into our scene. And now I think that my challenge and my vision is to find a way to kind of spread out a little bit from that and integrate into the city some more. So really working with Portland businesses and restaurants to create things like scavenger hunt cards or passport programs or things that, so during the festival, you fly into Portland and you're greeted with Rose Festivalness at the airport. And then you take the MAX train into downtown and your hotel looks Rose Festival. And now there's a Rose Festival meal or something you can taste test everywhere you go in the city. And so that's the level of civic engagement that we hope to foster, because Portland would super get behind it. Yep.
Well, speaking of civic engagement, I imagine this has to be both a boon and a burden to the city. How do you keep the town engaged, and what does Portland Rose do for the region and for the city?
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, it's talking to the police, there's just so many reasons, and this from talking to so many people, that the statement always at these conventions is that events are essential to our communities, to a vibrant, thriving downtown core anywhere you go. So how do we capitalize on that, provide the buzz, get the businesses to buy in so it isn't just more another day of closed streets, but man, here's 200,000 people convened downtown and they've all got to go get a drink after, or they all want to go get a slice of pizza or something. Like, yeah, we're bringing that down here, and it's a gift. And if the city can get behind it and everybody that lives here and works here gets behind it, it's really helps for sure.
Well, it's obviously making a huge impact on people's lives, even from your own childhood. I mean, the work that you and the team are doing is nothing short of exceptional and on a, world-class level. So many volunteers, but also great year-round staff. The Portland Rose really is a model of how an event can be a place where everything great about a city can shine. And for a long time, I think that's in no small part to you. Great work on keeping the tradition thriving. And Jeremy, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Daniel. This is really cool, and I hope that everybody would take away that we are a very accessible city, and Portland's quaint, it's cozy, That's all the feedback we get from visiting festivals. Like, man, it's just so nice here and just quiet, peaceful, and fun and energetic. And I'm just so happy to be in a role to be able to help Portland celebrate itself like that.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how your influence will propel the festival into the next century. Thanks again for joining.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thanks again to Jeremy Emerson for joining us on Event Explorer and giving us a behind-the-scenes look at the Portland Rose Festival. From the Grand Floral Parade to the milk carton boat races and everything in between, it's clear that it's more than just about roses. It's about revitalizing the city, connecting communities, and making space for both tradition and reinvention. If you're in Portland next May and June, don't miss it. It's one of the most joyful ways to experience what makes the city so unique. Now, you can find more episodes at eventexp.org, and be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to catch up on stories about festivals around the world. And if you've got a great event we should cover, let us know. Email me directly at daniel@eventexp.org. Now, this has been Event Explorer. I'm Daniel Roth. Until next time, happy exploring.